Hello everyone, welcome to another video in this channel. I am Daniel da Costa, 3D character artist from Brazil, and I'm gonna bring a lot of new videos, tutorials in this channel. So please take it easy, my English is not perfectly, but I promise you that I'm gonna give my best for you and bring a lot of cool stuffs, okay? So in this first video, we're gonna see how to sculpt ears. Then we're gonna see how to sculpt eyes, nose, and mouth, because the elements of the head are extremely important and a lot of people usually don't understand what they are doing. So here, the objective for this video is understand the shapes of the ear, and we're gonna see to the next videos how to sculpt eyes, nose, and mouth. And we're gonna start this series with the ears, okay? Hey guys, just to remind you that we have new premium course every month uploaded on Udemy and Skillshare, where you can access a lot of different content for you learn, improve and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now, new workflows, techniques, tips and tricks, and now learning from industry veterans and experts. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free-month trial to the premium membership. With this membership, you are going to be able to access all of our course and watch and learn all of these amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So what are you waiting for? Check our course down here below. So here, for example, in my Instagram, you can see that I have this piece, for example, quick eye, nose, ear, mouth sketch, because I like to make these studies. It's kind of like a warming up. It's extremely good because sometimes you usually work in a long project. For example, sometimes you are working on a creator project and spend, for example, 3 months working on it, and you don't have time to practice the anatomy, for example. So it's good make little projects like this, nose, like the eyes, like mouth, like ears, and quickly sketch. It's very good to keep your mind, keep your mind on the silhouette, to remember the silhouette, to remember the key points, because when you're gonna sculpt a human head, it's extremely important you understand the shapes, okay? So how you can see, I like to make this quick sketch. It's cool too. And of course, I'm gonna bring a lot of new stuffs for you: anatomy, creature, props, swords, rendering, texturing. Well, we're gonna have a lot of things. And here, of course, my traductor translator, because it's extremely important. I don't remember all the English words, and in Portuguese too, I don't remember all my native words, my native language, so imagine other language. But well, let's start, and we're gonna work with ZBrush, and let's go. Guys, if you want, make download of the reference here. I shared here on the description of this video the link, and you can make the download, okay? So the first thing that I like to do is open the pure rough, and we can, for example, use the image here into the ZBrush as a texture. Here, for example, we can activate the spotlight, lower the spotlight, and load an image. But when I am doing some exercise, it's kind of exercise, doing some sketch, I don't like to make something like likeness. I prefer make more like a study and like a sketch, just a sketch. So I'm gonna use the pure ref. But if you want something exactly, for example, I would like to get the same proportions and same silhouette exactly like the image reference, you can work with the spotlight and the see-through here too. Okay, so let's go. Let me see. I like to use usually 2 or 3 image reference, side image, front image, and perspective. It's good too. But let me bring here I'm gonna bring this image here that it's important. We're gonna talk about the shapes, these colors. And this guy here, it's good for you understand. And let me see here. I have this side. So when I am adding image reference, I like to keep the same side. For example, I have this side to this direction. I like to work with that. For example, the right ear. So let me select this other. Let me check if I have other, can be this one, and I can hold Alt and Shift and use the left button of the mouse to switch it, to transform this side. So that's okay. It's not necessary to use a lot of image. So let me see this one, frontal, side, and let me select, let me see, can be this one here. It will be good to understand. Seems that it's a 3D. The hair seems 3D hair. And let me see, can be this one. I'm gonna hold Alt and Shift and click on with the left button of the mouse to transform it, and I'm gonna use this one. It's very cool because we have different shape, for example, here and here and here, how you can see, and we have the pores too. And let me select this old ear here. That's okay, can be. Let me close here, and it's enough for me. So the first thing that we're gonna do is organize. These images can be on this way because it's better for me to organize the space here. Let me check. Of course, usually I work, for example, with 2 monitors, but for you understand better and see the reference here in the video tutorial, I'm gonna keep it in this monitor, this screen. So this guy here, I can cut, press C to cut using the pure rev. Same thing here, just to organize a little better. And I wanna keep this thumbnail here to check the silhouette. So in this situation, I can organize on this way. Yes, and that's okay. So let's go. The first thing that I like to do is press Tab and to see the full canvas here. And in preference, I like to click Initialize ZBrush to amplify the canvas. I'm gonna press yes on yes to resize it automatically. And the canvas, that's cool. And document, I like to set the range to 0 because I don't like to work with gradients. That's okay. Oh, and in preference, quick save, I like to change the informations to the maximum duration and res duration to the maximum, because if I keep a low number, probably I'm gonna have quick save automatically saves all the time, and it's very bad because sometimes you are doing a complex character that have millions of polygons, and sometimes this ZBrush will try to save automatically and will crash the ZBrush. So I prefer save it for myself. And let me see, I think is it. Let me delete quick saves, and I think is it. So let me press Ctrl N, and we're gonna start this guy with a cube, and I'm gonna make Polymesh 3D it. Press T to edit table, and that's okay. So when we are sculpting ears from a cube, from a sphere, it's different from, for example, when we have the complete head. So usually we have the head let me show you. For example, here, let me select this guy here just to understand better. So for example, if I have the head here and I'm gonna make a mask and bring the ear, for example, it's more easy for us to sculpt from this point. Why? Because we have the proportions, we have the form, the shapes, the volume, so it's more natural for our mind. But when we need to sculpt an ear from a cube, it's a little more difficult because we just are seeing the cube and we don't have other reference, other space reference, the proportion and all these things. So seems that it's more easy, but it's not easy to sculpt from a cube. But you're gonna learn how to sculpt ears to practice from a cube. So I am here to teach you, okay? So let's go, let me press make polymesh 3D again and clean these guys here, these other toes. And let's go. The first thing that I like to do is bring, change the thickness a little bit. Let me press key. And I'm gonna work with Dynamesh. That's okay. And here guys, the secret to sculpt ears, it's the shapes. So how you can see here, keep it in your mind, and all the time that you're gonna sculpt ears, you will understand how to do that. So we have basically two shapes, two silhouettes that are extremely important when we're gonna sculpt ears. That is the hookfish draw. The silhouette here seems a hookfish, the hookfish shape, and the Y letter shape. So here you can see that basically this blue line and orange line, the Y letter and the hookfish shape, they are the most important shapes when you're gonna sculpt an ear. So you can use your own ear as a reference, so it's extremely important. You feel that, to see the thickness, how hardness it is or not. So you need to understand that, okay? So well, let's start with the first shape that basically I like to work with a mask. So for example, here I like to try to find the basic shape. So let me select the mask lasso here. That's cool. And I'm gonna try to bring this shape here, this overall shape, just this first shape. It's kind of the letter D. So let me bring here. It's not necessary to be perfectly, and remember here we are doing a sketch, so it's not necessary to be perfectly. Let me remove this other side here, I don't want. And let me reduce the size. I can smooth the mask and then make more sharpen. So we have the mask options here, masking, for example, blur and sharp mask. Okay, so that's okay. And the ear, we have some rotation here. So basically what I'm gonna do is use transpose and rotate it a little bit. Usually you have 45 degrees or a little less than it. So let me see here. And of course, remember the face, the head, we don't have this visual here, for example. Usually we have the masseter muscle here from the jaw bone, and it's more in diagonal. For example, it's something more in diagonal. But here we are doing more like a sketch, remember that. So let's go. I can use the transpose or the gizmo. Here I'm gonna set on this point, turn off the perspective because I just wanna rotate a little bit. That's okay. Let me see. Be a little bit more on this way. That's okay. Here I can smooth a little bit because this transition, we don't have this little owl here. It's connected, so it's kind of two planes and not 1, 2, 3 planes. No, it's 1, 2. It's kind of this direction, a unique plane. So let me move back. So the secret, it's the base, the first steps. It's extremely important to get a good project. So I'm gonna try to move a little bit more. That's okay. That's good. And let me check this rotation here. Too much. I'm gonna remove a little bit. I'm gonna return a little bit. That's okay. A little letter D. And I can update the Dynamesh and smooth a little bit here this part. And that's cool. So from this point, what I'm gonna do, it's what I like to do, it's mark the shapes, the Y, the hook fish. So try to keep it into your mind. Hook fish and Y letter. This is the secret. So I'm gonna press 0, I'm gonna use the dump standard to mark it a little bit. And I'm gonna start doing this little hole here. Or better, I can make a mask. Let me see here. I wanna bring this guy here. It's kind of other letter D. Optimize it, simplify it, the letter D. So I'm gonna try to see more or less the proportion. I'm gonna try to follow this one, and we could use as a spotlight to use as a reference. Here too, we could add as a front and back reference here, but I like to practice to train my eyes here to check the proportion, the structure. It's a very good exercise. So more or less, if we make some measure here, it's start in the middle a little bit up this point of the ear. So basically we had 1, 2.5 parts. So what I'm gonna do, it's more or less it. So we're gonna try to mark here. So I can make a mask here more or less on this way. So we can invert it and I can move just to start. And I can move it to this way, but take care it's not too depth. I can use the move here a little bit. I'm doing on this way because it's better for you understand. So letter D, update the mesh, and the first moment, how I said you, I'm just finding the shapes. So I can start here the hook fish, draw, and I am pressing Alt to make this draw, and here I can press Alt and bring this cut here more or less until the middle. And here in that I create a cavity, I am marking it, this red shape, so it's better to understand. I can press Alt, that's okay. And then the Alt, I can just create the the cavity here where we're gonna have the Y letter. So the Y letter, it's it. Y letter. So now I can press clay build up, use the clay build up, press 4 to the hotkey and remove a little bit of volume. Here, update the mesh, and we're gonna start doing it. Here I can move a little bit this guy, the silhouette, and here I have this shape. Here in this part seems that this little guy, it's minor a little bit, so I can try to reorganize it as well. So how you can see, the mesh, it's a little smashed and very noisy with distortions and all this stuff, no problem. Here I have a little volume. This part, all this part I have volume. So what I'm gonna do is try to bring this volume here to this guy and update the mesh. And I have a little of rotation. For example, the ear we have more or less in diagonal, a little bit in diagonal. So let me check here if I can press Ctrl. Well, will not work to rotate that, or I can use the move brush to keep it more in diagonal. This part here. Okay, and how you can see, I'm just marking the part. So now I'm gonna use the dump standard and try to create these landmarks here, where I have the Y letter and the hookfish silhouette. So I'm gonna try to remove a little bit more this part. And here, this transition, it's more flat. So let me just mark it. And here I'm gonna try to remove a little bit this transition. It's more flat too. And here we have the Y and a cavity. Of course, I'm gonna move all this part into this other mesh, but first I'm trying to create these shapes. That it's the Y letter and the hook fish. So how you can see, we have more volume here. That's okay. It's the first blockage. And here what I'm gonna do is bring more volume too. I need more volume on this part. So the first moment, remember that. I'm gonna use dump standard to divide this part, the Y letter. I can make a mask if I want to. Then I'm gonna do that. Alt. And here I can make a mask to move out this part more inner. So let me see this region, that's okay. And I can move this part more inner. So if you touch your ear, you're gonna see that it's more or less on this shape. This part here, it's one mesh on other mesh. So it's important we do that. Let me see here, that's okay. I can invert it and bring this Y letter a little bit out. So here, more or less. Let me reset my brush since that I have misset the settings. So I can reset current brush. That's okay. Now I can come here and bring a little bit out. I'm gonna do it then because I need to make a mask, so I can update the mesh. Or let me press Ctrl Z and I'm gonna bring a little bit this shape more out to this direction. Yes, that's okay. I can update the mesh. and remove this part a little bit and bring the Y letter, update the mesh again. That's okay, remember it's the first moment. Here I can pass the finger here and fill the volume, so I can remove it. The thickness is very thin and not to inflate that, so let me pass it here. So because that we are sculpting from a cube, it's a little more difficult to fill the elements. Seems that it's more difficult, but no problem. So let me see here, that's okay. And here usually this visual we have a V, like a V letter, and not like a curved. So here we can make a mask or try to remove a little bit this part here. Yeah, I have this shape. So let me make a mask maybe. Yes, move a little bit, and I can move down and here move up a little bit to have a better shape. The transition. Let me move a little bit, and I'm gonna reset all the brushes. We have this, I don't know why, but the settings was missed. So let me smooth, now it's better, how you can see, and when I'm gonna use the move will be better too. So let me move a little bit. Yeah, so now it's better. So that's okay. I can set a more brown color, a little bit skin color. It's better to adapt the eyes to be more comfortable. Be something like that. Yes. And yes, we have this little ugly shape, ugly visual, but no problem. So what we're gonna do is make this little hole here. So let me use dump standard and make this little hole here. That's okay. Let me increase a little bit the Dynamesh. I'm gonna use 256. Can be, yes. And here, what I'm gonna do is make a mask to this part where I'm gonna separate a little bit this silhouette here. So how you can see, we have this ugly shape yet, but I can see the Y letter. So let me press Ctrl W to create polygroup. So how you can still have the Y letter, and I'm gonna select it, invert, make a smooth mask, and I'm gonna bring a little bit this shape. So let me invert, I'm gonna move back a little bit this part, and here I'm gonna try to bring this volume. Not too much. I don't like to work with a lot of volumes and mass here, so let me see more or less on this way. Let me invert, and I'm gonna bring this shape here. So we have the Y letter and this little guy. So let me see here, that's okay. Let me update the mesh and use the dump standard to create this visual here. So that's okay. And here I can use the standard brush to bring a little bit of volume. And same thing here on this part. So that's okay. And now what we need to do is organize all this mesh. So we need to start organizing it. So this part here, we don't have two shapes, for example, one plane and two plane. Basically here we have one plane on this side outside and other plane inside. So we need to destruct it. This part here, no, we don't have it. So what I can do is just smooth or use the clay buildup, pressing Alt to remove this part. So that's okay, and I can use DAM standard to try to simulate other plane in the inside part. So here, let me check. I can press Alt to create this structure. That's okay. It's a little better. And let me mark it here. The same thing on this way. So that's okay. And this part, how you can see, we have like a fade out here. This part are more smoothed here. Of course, it's depend. Here is a woman and here is a man, but it's depend. We have this contrast. So for example, here we can smooth a little bit or use the clay brush to add the volume and end it a little bit here. And I am not happy with the poly count, so let me return for 156, for example. Let me set it, because in the first moment I don't like to work with high resolution, for example. Usually I don't like to work with this visual. And here let me create this part, smart together. That's okay. In this part here too, the thickness it's different, so I can use the clay buildup and remove all it. It's more thin. This part here, let me check, yeah. So this part here, I have a more or less on this way. It's extremely important to let me smooth all it to start organizing again. So let me see here, yeah. And this transition here, we have more curved too. So this part here, let me check, yes. So I am using the brush on this direction now. So we need continuing doing it, and the secret to make good ears, well, basically to make anything, it's extremely important to be patient. So this shape, it's a little, I don't know, like the store said, let me try to use the move a little bit to make it a little better. This curve maybe on this way, little bit, something like that. That's okay. The shape, it's extremely important. Of course, it depends. We have a lot of different ears. And this guy connecting here is not good, so let me remove a little bit this part. And it's kind of out here, so we can use the polish. And the hook fish ends here, more or less connecting on this part. But let me solve this region here. This region I'm gonna make more clean and like a plane here. So Let me keep more clean it. So now we have a better visual here. And here I can add volume too, because we remember we are doing it as a sketch and not like a likeness. It's more to sketch. So let me bring these volumes. I can copy some volumes from reference, but of course take care, because when we are using a lot of reference, we can, for example, make this Y letter and try to apply this hookfish. So it's a little complicated because are different concepts, different people. So let me refine it a little bit, and I'm gonna try to copy an unique reference. So let me see, that's cool, just adding shapes and volumes. So this part here seems that it's a little more, this part seems that it's a little, the proportion, the thickness, it's a little more, it's different. So I can try to make a little mask and bring it, but I have a distortion here and I am not happy with that. So let's make a mask like that. Let's move a little bit and use the move topological. So let me see here, yeah, just a little bit. And I can mark a little bit with dumb standard on this region here, but take care about that to not mark too strong. Let me see here, I can use dumb standard. And here I have a plane too, it's kinda a plane. I can hold shift and then I can use high polish a little bit and add with the clay buildup a little bit more to keep the same aspect. So this part here, it's a little messed. I can use the inflate. Let me see, that's okay, and update the mesh to fix this problem. Update the mesh again. That's okay. So this is the first landmark, of course. Let me try to organize a little bit, create the wrinkles here. It depends on the age, of course, of the people. Let me see here, that's okay. Let's mark this part here too. So let me see here. Yes, that's cool. Can create some landmarks here to simulate the wrinkles just a little bit. Let me use the high polish here to fix this messy mesh. So always try to work with a clean mesh. It's important. Not clean, but a little bit organized. It's better. So let me move this part here. That's good. Let me check this part here. Then we can use the zero mesher, no problem. Let me see the side angle. More or less on this way. That's good. Let me add a little of volume here. So for example, we have this connection, more or less. It's not perfectly. So what I'm gonna do here is use the dumb standard, and then we need to fix this part here. It's more out. Look in this angle, it's more out. Yeah. And this transition here too, we need to fix. that. So let me see, let me use them standard to create this transition here. And of course we need to refine it a lot, but it's going well. So here, let me make more diagonal it and use the high polish. And let me check and use the update the Dynamesh. So the first moment is it. Let me just mark a little bit more on this way. Here maybe I could make a mask too and try to move it a little bit to make more thin this part. Update the mesh. And let me see. And well, so here I was looking for the overall shape, overall silhouette. And I need to fix some things. I am with hiccup, guys, so I'm sorry. But well, continuing. Let me see here. I don't know, this transition, it's a little strange. So from this angle, more or less, I have like this shape and this. It's kind of two planes, two directions. So I'm gonna try to solve it. Let me see here what I can do. It's add more volume here, maybe, and make this connection here. Maybe will be better. Update the mesh and break these parts. Try to make more one part more homogeneous. Let me see here. Update the mesh, and that's okay. I'm not happy with that, with it yet. So let me update a little bit more. So now it's better, this transition. And here I'm gonna try to divide again. So let me organize a little bit to have a better contrast. And this part seems that the space, it's too large. So let me try to make a mask, maybe. Let me go to mask lasso. So this option is move a little bit the mask and use the move topological, and I can bring a different shape maybe. This way it's a little better, in my opinion. Let me mark the hookfish so I can make this hookfish landmark. So let me see here. That's okay. I can invert and try to bring a little bit more out this part, this shape on this way. Let me see here. This part maybe I can bring a little more close and use the inflate brush here, more or less until here. Let me check this part. So from this point, let me press Ctrl W to create a polygroup. It's better to work. So from this point, I like to try to organize the things a little bit. So let me remove a little bit this part here, make a better transition. and here too. And this part here, update the mesh. Now here, let me increase a little bit, 200 to the resolution. And let me see this part here. Turn off this sub. Let me smooth this part here, let me smooth, or I can work with inflate brush, because here in this part from this reference seems that it ends the division. So let me select this guy and press Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Select this guy and let me smooth and try to connect a little bit more. And let me use the inflate again. Yeah, but the resolution it's too low yet. So let me just smooth a little bit. This part here too, I can use dump standard to mark a little bit more this part. And we're gonna refine the elements. So the question here, guys, it's that we need work calmly and increase part by part. Usually some guys try to make it very quickly and fast, and this is not the way, the best way. So let me make this little cut here to end the hookfish connection. So let me reset the brush. I reset the settings again. Let me go to brush and reset our brushes. That's okay. Let me save the project. Always, of course, replace it. So, and let me check this shape here. I don't know, maybe here it's, we need organize this part, this region here, the letter D. Let me see the best way. Maybe we could try to close a little bit it. Yes. And this part here too, it's more on this angle to this direction. It's kind of one plane and two planes. So I need to make a mask here. Let me select the mask lasso. Mask lasso. And let me use the move. Yes. And from this point, I can try to organize a little bit more the things. So now it's better, the transition. So let me see here. Yes, it's better. Let me see, that's okay. Let me see. I think is it for now. Of course, the first blockage. Let me mark a little bit this part, and let me remove the thickness here too. And here I can mark, can make a mask and make and use the move and hold out to make this landmark too. So that's okay. let me use the dump standard clay buildup to remove a little bit here too. Let me check. And here, same thing. To create this cavity. So let me make this visual. So that's okay. So the shape it's very better, how you can see. Let me remove this part. Use dump standard to cut it. And I'm gonna remove this part too. Oops, the mesh are very thin, so let me use the inflate. Yeah, here I need to inflate a little bit too. Yes, it's better, and here too probably. So yes, that's okay. Let me check this part. I'm gonna make a mask, invert, smooth first, invert, and use the move topological to create this better feeling here. I don't know. Front side angle, the contrast maybe. Let me bring more this Y letter shape. Yes, it's better. Of course, we have a lot of designs, a lot of types, and here seems that it's we need to inflate a little bit more, or the proportion it's not so perfectly. And here let me remove a little bit of volume. So make this transition. Let me smooth. That's okay. And I can add volume here. So let me check this part here too. Let me bring more volume. So from this part, guys, we're gonna make new designs and testing and refining. I'm not updating the Dynamesh because I want find the overall shapes first, then I'm gonna increase it. And let me move it more on this way, yeah. So let me see here. It's transition. Some guys have two, this type. So let me see here on this way. Yes, can be. Let me check. Make a mask, and I'm gonna try to create this part a little more inflate too. It's too close and thin. So let me see. Take care about use the draw size too small. So yeah, now I'm gonna update the mesh. Let me put 256. Yes. And here I'm gonna mark it. Let me create this volume. This U letter, it's kind of little U here. Little U. And this transition here, dump standard to this part. And let me bring this shape. So here, more volume. Let me check here. Remove a little bit. And on this way, more or less. So here we can make a mask too. Let me see, smooth, smooth. Invert. And make more design it. So let me see. It's better. Can move a little bit. This transition here too. Let it mark more or less on this way. Let me check this transition here. Let me see here. This guy. So now I am trying to create some landmarks. For example, here I have this line, and I am using this. It's a little more strong contrast here. So let me smooth again. And that's okay. So now I think that we can use the zero mesher to make more clean shape. And here I'm creating this transition. Let me smooth. That's okay. Gonna update the mesh. Here, I don't know, I can move all this part more inner too, in my opinion, of course. So here more or less. And this part. Oops. So let me see here, that's okay. And we can start refining it. So now what we can do, let me smooth here too. Select other color here. Other thing that it's extremely important, it's active the wax preview here. And let me pick more or less this color here can be red. And here I'm gonna change to skin shading material, Madcap skin shader 4. And let me select a more different color here. It's better to have a better preview, a little more strong. And wax preview I kept set 25 or 15 can be. Let me change to this color more or less. Let me see. Yeah, can be this one. Can be this one. Let me smooth this part a little bit. I'm gonna remove this transition. Yes, it's a little better. So I can make little details. That's cool. I can make the this part of the hookfish. Some guys has this part more thin and other people more wide, more inflated. So how you can see on this example here, this here. So no matter, it's depend of what reference you're gonna follow. So for example here we can make use the clay polish to make an overall, it's to make flat, to apply a flat visual for the full mesh. So we can use, and how you can see we have more clean. Or we can go to the other way that it's more hard, of course. So let me see here. Just let me make this landmark and play a little bit with that. That's okay. Let me refine it a little bit. This curve here. Let me inflate a little bit this part here too. This transition, I'm gonna use the standard brush because I have this flat shape. 1, 2, 3 planes, 1, 2, 3 planes, and I don't want here. I want a more curved. So I'm gonna bring the standard brush to bring this curve. So it's more random. So it's better. And here I can remove a little bit to make this shape. Always checking the reference. So let me bring here this transition. I can move, force a little bit just to play a little bit more. That's okay. Here, same thing. I can bring, and remember here it's a sketch. So for example, you can make it very quickly, 20 minutes, or it's more to practice. Let me check this part. I don't want it separated. I want to more merge it. Let me take the mesh and this transition. I want to more together. So let me see. Let me smooth. That's okay. Let me organize a little bit this part here. Same thing here. Let me bring more volume on this part here. So let me see here. Update the mesh and smooth. Can play a little bit with that. So of course, remember it's more sketch and not perfectly likeness, so you can take easy with that. Let me create a little bit of contrast here. This landmark here. I can make more detailed if I want to mark a little bit more. Let me see, yes, and I can bring a little of this line just to create a contrast here. That's okay. And now what we can do is duplicate that. Let me save it first. And what we can do now is duplicate that, and let me select this one, use the solo, and work with the zero measure. I can set 1.2 maybe. Let me see. Why? Because I'm gonna rebuild, I'm gonna construct a good topology. Of course, not perfectly, but using zero mesh automatically, zero mesh will bring a good topology, and we can project this mesh with the high poly that we have the sculpted with Dynamesh and refine it. So from this point, for example, we can use the unwrap, automatically unwrap if we want. It's very cool. So let me wait here, the zero mesh progress. That's good. So here, for example, we have the low poly. Very, very cool. And for example, here we can use this plugin and UV master, turn off the symmetry and unwrap it. And here, for example, we have the, let me use the flat, we have opened the UVs. Of course, it's automatically, it's not perfectly. If you want, you can send it to Blender or Maya and open the UV and return here. And now what I'm gonna do, it's project it, so I can use the project all. That's okay. Now I'm gonna press Ctrl D and project all, Ctrl D and project all, Ctrl D and project all. I have a more clean mesh, but I also can do the other way, and press Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. So for example, I could start again doing the year from this point with a more clean visual, but let me return to the high poly, and now I'm gonna apply the, let me go here to clay polish geometry and apply the clay polish, clean the mesh, so it's a little more clean. Let me check the reference. Let me press Ctrl Z. Before I apply the clay mesh, I'm gonna try to cover a little bit this part to make more clean. And let me see. Yeah, that's okay. Clay polish, apply it. That's cool. And now I can return to this guy and press Ctrl D, project all. So how you can see, Ctrl D, project all. Or better, let me see, I think from this point here, it's not necessarily more project. It's from this point, that's okay. Now I can press Ctrl D, that's okay, and I can just make a clean up. So for example, I can mark it, this part, Shift D to work on low subdivision, and here I can play a little bit with the contrast, the shapes, the details. So here I can increase a little bit, but the cool part is that I have a good topology and I can make these details. So this is the cool part, and I have a good topology. And I press Ctrl Z, and seems that this part here I can move back a little bit, and this part more in front. So let me see. Yeah. So yes, it's a little better. So from this point, I can create variations. For example, I can, of course, we will not make an old year, but we can make a mask. Let me make a mask here. For example, and I can play a little bit with that. So let me see. So the cool part is it. I can make a lot of changes here from this point. This is the cool part. Let me see. Let me try to fix here. Yes. And all this part seems that I need to move, bring more in front here. Let's go. Increase the mesh. This part I can fix then. And I can create some landmarks, some little faults here, for example. More to have to simulate this idea. Remember, it's not to be a likeness, but it's more to play a little bit with that. So here we have some variations, and it's not perfectly, for example. But take care, it's just small landmarks. and not a lot of landmarks. So here, of course, if you want exactly and perfectly result here to the wrinkles, we can use alphas and all these stuffs. Here it's more like on a sketch. Remember that it's like on a sketch. So don't forget it. Don't forget it. It's on sketch and not perfectly. So let me create this landmark here. Here I can smooth a little bit. It's more like a little cut here. And I can smooth. Let me destruct this highlight. That's good. Here we have this other transition, but how I say to you, it's not a likeness. It's just to get some points here. So let me see here. Yes, that's okay. Let me create this other volume here. That's good. Take care to not make it very thin, to not bring a fake visual. So let me see, create these dots. So let me check. No, I'm not happy with that, so let me bring new volumes here. So let me see, yeah, now it's better. And here let me remove a little bit. Yes, now it's better. So here I can bring a little bit more of contrast. Same thing here. So let me check these transitions here too, and bring these volumes. Let me just mark it, more to play a little bit, and use the inflate brush a little bit. Here I can break a little bit the visual, just a little bit. And of course we could increase it a lot, make more perfectly and all these stuffs, but this is not the objective. It was more like on sketch. And here the cool part is that we can use the boolean. So for me it's okay, this shape here. Let me remove this part. Let me make a test here, remove a little bit more. Have a better shape here. Yes, it's enough. And here we can create a other cube. So let me turn off this other guy. And well, I can use this. No, let me append a cube here. And I can cut it. So for example, I can use the boolean. So let me activate this option, these cycles, and I go to rendering and render boolean, live boolean. And how you can see, let me see, maybe I would like a chamfer here, maybe. Well, let me go here to boolean and make boolean mesh, but I need to delete the high, let me save it, the high subdivisions, here one, and here I have with the boolean. And I can use the cube again. So for example, I can duplicate that and activate this cycle. That's good. And duplicate again and make this shape here Boolean. Yes, that's cool. Duplicate it again and bring on this more or less here. Maybe could be, yeah, let me check. Boolean, yes, that's good. Maybe a little bit more up. Yeah, duplicate it, Boolean, and I'm gonna move here more or less. So let me see. Think that's okay. That's good for me. As a sketch, it's very cool. I can mark a little bit more here, detailed, make a little bit more organized and clean, but no problem. Let me bring the folds here a little bit too. The wrinkles, sorry, not folds, to simulate a little bit the wrinkles here, more like a sketch. That's cool. If you want, we can apply a color fill object. Let me set a little more on this way. That's good. Fill object. And now I can select a red color. And I can use the drag rect. I can select an alpha, RGB, turn off this yet, and reduce the RGB intensity. And paint a little bit it, multiply a little bit. Let me see. Let me first make it, let me delete this, oops, sorry. Let me delete this mesh, the wall. And now I'm gonna convert it, make Boolean mesh, and I'm gonna paint with the final result. So let me see here. That's okay. Let me pick the color fill object, geometry. That's okay. Let me see here, subtool, and increase, of course, the RGB and fill object. Now that's okay. Switch color, I can select a red color, but I'm gonna work with layers, new. That's okay, and let me select a more warm color. Can be here. And I'm gonna bring more like a gradient here. That's okay. And let me reduce this. The intensity, that's okay. Let me create other, switch color and pick the same color, more dark, and I can bring here and reduce the intensity. It's more to play a little bit. It's not to make a perfectly poly paint. And now I can switch to color spray, or spray better, switch color more dark to. Let me see these settings. That's okay, and I can create this variation. Or let me go to color here, color spray. Yes, it's better. And I can make this transition. Of course, here I'm doing very quickly. You can make it very calmly to get a better result and quality. So I can make this brush a little minor and mark a lot it, because then I'm gonna control it with the opacity. So let it mark. I can add other color, more dark if I want, in more dark regions, random stuffs. So to create this blood and variation effect here too. Let me see here. Let me check these dots. That's okay. Let me work on the opacity now. For example, I can set 6. This other here 7, maybe, or not. Let me reduce a little bit more. Let me check. No, let me keep 3 too. Yeah. Yes, on this way. And here the wax preview I can reduce maybe for 6. Yes. And is it, guys? Let me just create a new layer, press 0 and mark a little bit more this part. I need that to make it early, but that's okay. This part needs to be to have a better transition. Let me see. Unplugged and plugged my tablet. That's okay. Now I can reduce the intensity here too. Yes. So is it? I can use other. No. Yeah, I could use other cube to break a little bit the thickness here, but that's cool. If I want, I can make a rendering here, press Shift R to make a rendering. That's cool, but I can set, for example, the BPR shadows. I can set angle 35 to have a more smooth and not sharp shadow, and raise, let me set 150 to have a better quality. Blur 2 can be, and the lights can be more on this angle. So let me press Shift R and wait the rendering. And these sketches are extremely important. You can make it in the first part of the morning, afternoon, the noon. Well, it's good because it's not a sketch that will take a lot of time. You can make it very quickly. Of course, here I was teaching, so it's a little more slow process and calmly. But usually to make an year like that, it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, very, very quickly. And very good because your mind will keep it when you're gonna make other character or head creature too, when you need to make an alien or something like that that seems a little bit human. It's extremely important because the shapes are the same. Remember, we have the Y shape and hook fish shape. The most important shapes are these guys, and then you can refine, add details, and make a lot of things. It's very easy. But how you can see, we have a clean ear because I have used the ZBrush. So some guys just sketch using Dynamesh and stay with that. I don't like because we have a bad visual. The mesh, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little noise, messed. I like to work with clean meshes and topology. So we can use ZBrush to do that automatically. And is it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please like the videos, comments, suggestions are very welcome. And we're gonna see other parts of the human head in the next video tutorials, and I'm gonna bring a lot of other tutorials, rendering, texturing, sculpting, creatures, aliens, hard surface, environment, characters, a lot of things, props, assets. Well, see you in the next video tutorial.